Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart Alan Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the second week of March 2018.
Can I make a couple comments about the comments?
Okay.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank all of you who actually write in really nice things, because we've talked about the trolls and all that.
Yeah, like the two or three of you that write in the nice things.
We actually get quite a few nice things, and they all wanted to see you in the shower.
Yes, but they have to pay for that.
Oh, well, nobody offered to pay.
And there's another price for... Look, there's a price for just seeing me in the shower. Then there's a price for singing in the shower. And then there's another price for, moving the camera in different locations.
I see. Okay, well, so that we have that straight. Second of all, I appreciate all of you who say I'm hot.
They said that?
Yeah.
Who said that? You never told me that. With the Nigerian of trolls in Africa told
I don't
you
know.
Or the generals that want to marry you that are on Skype.
And then we had those that go, ew.
Yeah, they're jealous.
That's what I thought.
Those are just jealous people.
Those are the jealous people. But anyway, so thank you very much for the nice comments that you do write in about us. We do appreciate that. And of course, a lot of you put questions out there, and some of them we can answer, but this is a short podcast, relatively speaking, considering the body of work that we do. So therefore, please consider...
The body of work.
Yes. Please consider membership on our website where we have Q&As, and consider attending our events.
And the people out there who are trolls, or they just like to complain. There's people who just like to complain, even though they probably don't mean it anyway.
Yeah.
Say, oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a this, you're a that. You know what? Read my beard. I put some secret things in. Read it.
Yeah, and listen to what we have to say, because we are not affiliated with any political party or any religion. We are only telling you the trends so you can see what's going on and you can make your own choice. Because a lot of people go, oh, you're a Trump basher, I'm not listening to you, you're
Listen,
racist.
I bash everybody. Okay, it doesn't Trump, Hillary, I don't care.
We're just telling you what's going on out there. Some people want us to do our research and prove this and prove that. Read our books, do your own research. It's out there, okay?
And I'm wearing cotton, by the way, so deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did we have ribs last night?
Maybe.
Oh, it's not watermelon season.
But I want to show you something, okay?
What? Is it secret?
You know what this is?
Garbanzo beans. I love garbanzo beans.
Okay, well, if
Is that racist?
Yes.
Why?
I'm going to tell you.
Why is it racist?
What else are they called?
Chickpeas?
That's right. And what's a chick?
Oh, a thing with boobs?
You don't use that word.
Well, I'm just being inappropriate because that's what they want.
So if I come to your house, I do not want any garbanzo beans because I'm going to be offended because I don't like the term chick.
Right.
Because I'm not a chick. I'm not a baby chicken. I don't know if I'm a female because that's got the word male in it.
No, you can't.
And I don't know if I'm a woman because it has the word man in it.
So what are you? What am I married to?
Maybe just a person.
Like a giraffe or something?
I'm like a person. So no chickpeas, no garbanzo beans, because I'm going to get offended, and then somebody's going to get fired.
And if you invite me to dinner and you serve borscht and vodka, I will be very offended. Well, not by the vodka, but the borscht, I will be very offended.
So you have to be careful. So
and,
anyway,
and if you like Russian potatoes, onions, I will just probably flip your table.
So in other words, people, chill out. Relax, get a sense of humor.
Yeah, really.
Don't feed into all the crap that's being put out there. And if you have problems, get counseling or something, but don't take it out on us.
And I like what President Putin said this week when he was interviewed by American news media, and he said, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So think about that, because they're getting you exactly where they want you, and that's where you don't want to be.
Okay, so now let's go back to the news. Are you done with your ranting?
We didn't get started.
With your ranting?
Let's start on the news.
Okay, usually I'm the one that rants, but I don't know, maybe you changed your life or something, I don't know.
I'm too young for
that.
No,
you changed a long time ago.
There you go. I'm too young for that.
Yeah. Anyway, I never changed. I've always been the same.
That's true.
Which we don't know what that is.
That's true, and I can attest to that.
I've stayed that way.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, okay, news people. President Donald Trump is going to meet with Kim Jong-un, which they call it a stunning decision, which it is. And they're also calling it the most mind-boggling diplomatic summit in modern history. Yes, I agree. Now, Trump, they said, called Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man and threatened to rain fire and fury over North Korea. But Kim, whom they're calling a portly 30-something, called Trump a lunatic, mean, old trickster, and human reject. I like Kim's words better. They're much more funny. Yeah. Yeah, that's very funny. So anyway, the meeting was announced by the South Korean delegation at the White House, which I didn't even know they were here. Were we invited? No. They know I like kimchi. And they said it would be an unmarked moment in history because the U.S. and North Korea really haven't, hugged or kissed for 70 years.
You mean unmatched moment?
Yeah.
You said unmarked.
It's both. It's unmatched and unmarked. And don't look at my notes. So the news is also saying that Trump could be walking into a massive trap. They might kidnap him and drug him at the meeting.
They might wind up, how people like that. They'll fight with
each
other.
Like the Viking chieftains used to invite their enemies to a party, and then while they're there, they kill them.
That could happen.
That's possible. So, but of course, they don't know where or when the meeting will be, but it's supposed to be around May sometime. Yeah. So here's the funny thing, but it just continues to get funny. They said Trump is inexperienced in high-stakes diplomatic negotiation, and Kim has actually never met another head of state because he keeps killing people. He just, he assassinated his own brother. Anyway, there's also a theory that the reason he agreed to do this, President Trump, is to distract from the scandal of his affair with porn star.
Alleged affair.
No, it's pretty certain. Let me finish.
He has to say alleged.
Stormy Daniels, and of course Trump said that in order to meet with Kim Jong-un, that the North Koreans agreed to refrain from future missile and nuclear testing, but with no guarantees. So we go, okay, we stop on shooting missiles. Okay, we stop. Yeah. And to Trump, that was huge. It was huge.
I'm just ignoring you.
Oh, look, I'm doing my 666 thing.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Well, no, that's 2 6
Actually,
6
they
6s.
reflect. I'm doing twinning 6
Yeah,
6.
but if they're...
Hello, 6. Hi, how are you?
That's... You have 6 6 6 6. Not 3 6 6 6.
I'm sure the trolls will have fun with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, where was I? Yes. Recently, Trump criticized South Korea for appeasing North Korea and allowing them into the Olympics and all that and making kissy-kissy and all that. But now, they said South Korea has roped the president into a diplomatic process which will prevent, hopefully, a preemptive U.S. strike, which would kill millions of South Koreans. If it was aimed properly. Anyway, and this is the part where U.S. media really gets ridiculous. It says, history indicates that the chances of success are slim, but given the alternative, it's a path that's logical to pursue, but we just can't put any great hope in it. So why the frick bother? It's like, yeah, it's a good thing, but it's not going to work. Then why are you doing it? Well, because it's all a big show anyway. But now is the really, really big show is this Stormy Daniels, whose attorney said that against President Trump has proof to back up her claims. And the attorney says, her attorney is Michael Avenatti, and he said, we have substantial evidence and facts that were not included in the original complaint. And the lawsuit was filed this past week in Los Angeles Superior Court. And Daniels said that just days before the 2016 presidential election, Trump and his personal attorney, Michael Cohen, attempted to silence her by her into a non-disclosure agreement to prevent her from coming forward and talking about the year-long sexual relationship she had with Trump beginning in 2006. In return, Daniels was paid $130,000 that the lawyer, Cohen, Trump's lawyer, gave to her. Cohen has said that Trump was unaware of the payment to Daniels. So if my lawyer paid someone money and didn't tell me, would that be a good lawyer?
I don't know.
So he said that Trump didn't know that he did it, and that it was in order to protect the then Republican nominee. And of course, Stormy's lawyer said it's absolutely laughable. And he said, we're going to prove that Mr. Cohen is not telling the truth about that. We're going to be able to obtain a discovery and documents testimony that is going to show, and I'm highly confident, that Mr. Trump knew exactly what was going on. And here's the really interesting part, because the agreement was never signed by Trump. So if it was not signed, then there's no deal. And Stormy's attorney said, we believe there was a reason it wasn't signed, namely so Donald Trump would have deniability. Well, I didn't sign anything. I know nothing.
Well,
He's talking to me. I know nothing.
They're not going to sign some illegal deal, which this is basically it's extortion. It's
Well,
illegal deal.
and at the time, Trump had been married to Melania for less than 2 years, and in fact, she was pregnant and about to give birth. So, what do you think she thinks about all that?
She doesn't care because that's
Sure
what
she does. It's embarrassing for her.
No,
Makes
it's
her look
not.
bad.
They all do it.
Okay, and then Congress said, as members of Congress, we are troubled by these payments because they're evidence of moral failings of the president. I think there's a lot more evidence than just that. And they said, we believe these payments may be felonies. Remember, people, I told you, I think back in January, that there is a movement in 2018 by people in the higher echelon of government to remove Trump one way or the other from the presidency. So there is stormy weather ahead.
Yeah.
Even though spring is coming, it's stormy weather. And I think Trump will actually feel safer with Kim Jong-un than he would with Stormy.
Maybe.
Now, here's another, I think, a very interesting story. You know, on the news, they always talk about The Simpsons, how like 10 years, 15, they predicted Trump would be president. They predicted this. Every few weeks, they're like, oh, look what The Simpsons said years ago, and it came true. Well, here's another story, but this one's a little different. In 1949, the rocket scientist Wernher von Braun, who was the head of NASA, who was a former Nazi rocketeer, not a musketeer, he was a rocketeer.
Not a racketeer.
No, he was the one that created the V-2 rockets that destroyed London and killed thousands of people, and then we brought him to U.S. and made him head of NASA. That was kind of nice of us. Or I should say of the United States. And but did you know in 1949 he wrote a science fiction book? Did you know that? About humanity's first mission to Mars. And it was called Project Mars, A Technical Tale. And in his story, it was set in the 1980s, he had 10 large spaceships to make the journey, and it required 1,000 flights into Earth's orbit to build and supply and fuel these 10 ships. And it was an international cooperative effort. But in chapter 24, he gives an outline of how Mars is governed by this civilization. And get this, it says, quote from chapter 24, the Martian government was directed by 10 men, the leader of whom was elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled Elon.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
2 houses of parliament enacted the laws to be administered by the Elon and his cabinet. The upper house was called the Council of the Elders, which had 60 people and appointed for life by the Elon, and this principally was not unlike the College of Cardinals of the Roman Catholic Church. So now you've heard it from Wernher von Braun in 1949, and his Martian civilization leader called Elon, which is the same name as Elon Musk, who is currently leading the field of human space travel.
Well, maybe his mother named him that from reading this book.
Well, and to add to all of this, there was another writer called Jack Kirby who drew the face on Mars in a comic 17 years before it was discovered. So these are not accidents.
Well, sounds like
these
the
are
Twilight
people
Zone.
who knew what was there and were bringing it to the public. So is this proof of time travel, or is it knowledge of what the Illuminati knew and had planned
And then they go
represented
back.
to the public?
Of course, maybe they went back and put that in the book because I didn't read that book from 1949, so I can't
Who
say.
would read a book from 1949
That's what I said.
about science fiction,
So
which
now-
would be very silly to us now?
But they could say, that this happened and just replace a few words, and we'd never know the difference. So, speaking about Trump, because I have a Trump story too.
Okay.
I'm not bashing Trump. I'm only reporting the news because I don't know.
No, if he was here, we would go, nice Trump, nice Trump.
Anyway, this was very interesting because this is what I keep telling everybody in the news, that what they're trying to do is divide and conquer. So Trump comes forward and he says it would be hard to unify the country without a major event.
Oh.
He made this statement actually back in January before his first State of the Union, which just came to my attention, so I'm telling you. So Donald Trump said that he wants to unite the country amid tremendous divisiveness and hopes he can do so without a traumatic event affecting Americans.
I'll translate. Nobody likes me, so I have to do something to make them like me.
He said Americans usually come together during times of suffering. He says, quote, I would love to be able to bring back our country into a great form of unity. Without a major event where people pull together, that's hard to do. But I would like to do it without that major event because usually that major event is not a good thing.
You know how he always repeats the words over and over again?
Well, when you talk, people do that. But what's interesting to me is we've talked about how that there could be something that happens. There could be a major event.
Well, there was a major event. There was the shooting in Florida. Now there was a shooting in California. And,
There could be a staged alien invasion. There could be a civil war.
That is going to happen.
There could
but that's
be a
not
lot
the
of
United
things.
States. That's global.
So that's what they want to do, is they want to bring people together so they can control you more. So that one mind pattern, first divide you, have you fighting, then point you over in this direction and tie you over here. So they have a plan. And in China, did you know that Chinese police are now using facial recognition glasses to scan travelers and to catch criminals? Apparently the faces can be identified in 100 milliseconds.
Ooh, that's pretty quick.
And apparently China is moving toward a nationwide database that can recognize any citizen within 3 seconds.
Wow. Because they all look alike.
And not only that, but
Because
Chinese...
you know what it says on the record? It says, he looked like a man.
Chinese police have started gathering blood types, DNA samples,
They're all the same blood
fingerprints,
type.
and iris scans from millions of people.
Billions.
Millions is what this says. It says that the officials are collecting these samples from citizens between the ages of 12 and 65.
What happens to the old, like 80, 90-year-olds?
I'm going to tell you. It says that they're not clear if the patients are actually aware that their data is being collected for biometric purposes by the police.
Patients?
Yes, because they have a program now that's called...
What about the regular, people who are not patients?
Well, no, they have a program called free medical checkups.
Oh.
So people are happy because they get to go in for these free medical checkups. It's called Physicals for All.
Can I tell you another Chinese story?
It depends if I'm going to be offended or not.
Well, I'm sure that people will be.
What?
But it's true.
What?
Are you finished with your story on that
No.
one? Oh, finish it first.
Okay. So anyway, it says that citizens that authorities say are a potential threat to the regime and their families...
Which is like all of them.
...are going to be forced to hand over their DNA regardless of age.
Were they going to grab them in the street and, take a skin sample?
And so far, they have 18.8 million citizens participating in these free medical checkups.
Okay. 1.4 billion people and only 18 million.
18.8 million.
Yeah, that's like this much.
Yeah, but they're trying for all. But go ahead, what's
like
your story?
1% of the... This is true, because China, for decades and decades, would only allow one child to keep the population.
Well, for the peasant class, not for the upper class.
But that's mostly peasants.
Yes.
And so now there's a problem. Because after all these decades, there are now 60 million single men with no women.
I've reported on that story many times.
But did you know what the Chinese government is doing now?
Well, I know what my
They're
thoughts
allowing
were.
people to have more than one child, but they're encouraging, because women in China have become more independent, making more money, and sometimes they don't want to get married, and they're always looking, they said, for Mr. Right. So the Chinese government has put billboards and signs all over it saying to these women, why don't you just look for Mr. Okay? It's like, don't wait for Mr. Right. That there are plenty of okay men out there that could get married and you could get pregnant tomorrow if you wanted to. Why don't you just lower your standards a little bit?
That's kind of strange.
No, that's a true story.
Well, what I figured they were doing was actually raising an army. Because they have all these men with nothing to do, so they put them in the army and then they send them through the world. They don't have attachments, they don't have families. So that's
So
what
anybody wants to adopt a Chinese okay man, you can do it.
Okay.
We should go into that business. We should be importing them.
And this is one of your favorite types of stories.
What?
Next is global warming.
Oh yes, because it's so warm outside.
It says that a weather expert in Australia is predicting major
Cold, right?
cold for Australia.
Right, for their winter, which is coming up now.
He said David Taylor, who runs the Brisbane Weather and East Coast Brisbane Weather and East Coast Weather Facebook pages, shows Canberra could be heading for a freezing -8°C.
Wow,
and
that's cold for them.
It goes on to say the forecast comes on the heels of a record-shattering winter in the northern hemisphere. That's us.
Gee, because the news said it was so warm that the ice caps are melting this year because it was so warm at the North Pole.
And did you know that Britain has had to call in the army for their global warming?
Oh, please. Britain, if there's a flake, they close the country down.
Yeah, but they're still saying it's their worst weather seen for nearly 30 years.
Listen.
So if this is global warming, we have a problem.
There was a picture from UK News. It's like stay off the roads in blizzard conditions. Like you can still see the grass. It was like nothing. It was like,
I know, but
really?
if they're not used to driving it, it still can cause a lot of problems.
That's why you lost the empire.
And apparently in Ireland, which last saw a major snowfall in 2010, there was panic buying of bread left shelves empty across the capital.
Because the next day when the snow would melt, there would be no bread. Yeah. So we have to get it now.
In Britain, of course, the army was summoned to help rescue hundreds of drivers stuck in the snow.
Oh, how embarrassing for
And
Britain.
to transport National Health Service
Seriously,
workers.
get snow tires.
Yeah. So the point being is, for global warming, Britain, regardless of what it is, still they're saying right here that has seen their worst weather in nearly 30 years, and Dublin hasn't had snowfall since 2010. Major.
Well, get used to it, people, because there's an ice age coming.
And then talking about true world history. So those of you, where's my true world history book here? Oh, there it is. True world history, okay?
I hope it doesn't offend
Is this
anyone.
the one where you talk about Vikings and those kind
Probably.
of things? And the sagas and all of that? Okay, and the real history, we have maps and things in this book? Okay, anyway, there was a mystical Viking settlement, which is, now they're claiming, a Viking settlement.
That mystical?
Mystical, for whatever reason, they're claiming now is in Canada's New Brunswick.
Well, duh, they've been all over there.
Maybe they got your book and read it. But anyway,
they look further south too.
Yeah, they said that it's actually the third Viking settlement found in North America.
Oh, it isn't. They've got more than that.
But this is what now the experts are claiming. So if you want to really know the truth, or maybe this is where they got some of their info from, try True World History because it's in there. But anyway, so they matched the whatever the description was for this particular settlement, and they decided that it's the Miramichi-Chaleur Bay
you watch your language.
area in northeastern New Brunswick. And then they go on to say that it is claimed seafaring Scandinavians built a settlement in North America more than 1,000 years ago, 500 years before Christopher Columbus.
Well, at least that part is right.
Yeah. So anyway, but they're telling you this publicly now.
Yeah, but they were in Virginia, they were in Massachusetts, they were all over.
Everywhere.
They were in Michigan.
They were all over.
There was maybe 300
And
settlements.
we've talked about before, in downtown Reykjavik, when we've been there, there's a
they say right there, statue
of Leif Erikson from U.S. to the Icelandic people because he discovered America
long before Columbus, and that was given in the 1940s.
Yeah, but then in the schools they don't tell you that. Here in the U.S. they don't tell you that, but they know that in other areas of the world. And then somebody sent this article to us on Facebook, which was interesting. Programming, how flashing lights and pink noise might banish Alzheimer's and improve memory and more. Because now they're saying
pink noise.
Pink noise.
What does that mean?
Oh, I don't know if I put that in here. You may have to read it, but it's not white noise. It's pink noise. It's about trying to oscillate and modulate the brain waves with flickering lights or rhythmic sounds.
So they think that's a good thing?
Yeah, they want to treat everything from insomnia to schizophrenia to premenstrual.
By triggering you with programming, with flashing lights.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And the point being is that they're saying that instead of pills, we can go right to your brain waves. So, of course, people are going to sign up for that.
I know.
So, anyway, I thought that was interesting. Okay, the next now, I found this interesting because it makes me question if Queen Elizabeth is getting ready to step down from the throne. Because do you know what happened on Prince Charles' official website? Without looking at my notes.
I can't see it anyway.
Yeah, what happened is that they have removed Princess Camilla's supposed title of Her Royal Highness the Princess Consort when the Prince of Wales accedes to the throne. So they've been quietly removing
Wait, they removed
this.
her title?
That what she will be known as Her Royal Highness the Princess Consort when the Prince of Wales accedes to the throne. That used to be on it. Now they've taken that down, and now there is a lot of talk about maybe she'll be queen and not just princess consort.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that's horrible.
And so in 2012, because you know they record everything, so in 2012 supposedly, when asked Prince Charles, they asked Prince Charles if his wife would be queen, he said, "We'll see, won't we? That could be." And then that same year, an 8-year-old girl asked Camilla, "Are you going to be queen one day?" And Camilla said, "You never know."
She has no right to be queen.
Then in June of 2016, the Queen appointed Camilla to the Privy Council. I thought that's like what you do outside, right?
Yeah, well, that makes sense for her.
To the Privy Council, thus allowing her to be beside Charles when he is proclaimed king.
Or is that supposed to help him when he's in the privy?
Maybe. And then there's a man named Joe Little, who's the managing editor of Majesty magazine. And he says that the deletion of the reference to Princess Consort after 13 years, 13, is very interesting because he says, "I have always regarded the wife of a British king to be a queen, and to give her a lesser title just really wasn't on, in my opinion. She should have the status of the wife of a king. I very much hope that when the time comes, she will be Queen Camilla."
Oh, no. He's an idiot.
Well, what I'm thinking is, if they're making these changes, and of course they're reporting it, is the Queen thinking of stepping down and putting Charles on the throne?
I have read somewhere that she wants to make it to a certain time period because she's already passed like the longest reigning monarch. And then I think when she's like 95 or something like that, she's going to...
I don't know, but I just thought it was interesting in there. They said, "Why are you doing this?" People would write in and say, "Why are you doing this?" They said, "Oh, people aren't interested anymore." But they have questions up there like, "Does Camilla still smoke?" So they're interested in that, apparently. Or at least she did. I don't know if she still did. They didn't answer that question. They just said these are questions people ask. So if they're asking that, they're going to ask if she can be queen. So I'm just wondering if this is a sign that the queen might be stepping down. So let's see what happens. And speaking of the royals, so to speak. Now, why would they put this out there? That big article about Princess Kate. Most people's middle fingers are noticeably longer than their index or fourth fingers, but these 3 for her, see mine also. In this photo, all 3 of these are the same, and they're saying that's very odd. So why would they make a big deal out of that? I have to look at that. Yeah, but why would they make a big deal out of that?
Maybe she's not human.
Maybe they're going to say she's something else at some point. I don't know.
That's Kate.
That's Kate.
Pregnant Kate.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Big article, and showed her pictures and circled it around like we're supposed to look at the fingers and why that's unusual.
Maybe when she shapeshifts, they can go back to normal.
I don't know. But anyway, they suggested it's not normal, but they don't exactly say why. And then what was also interesting, Meghan Markle. Remember, Meghan Markle now is biracial. They're now claiming that she is the most attractive female member of the British royal family.
I wouldn't say that.
It says that she came closest to scaring 100% based on what's called the golden ratio, which I never heard of before, which is said to reveal perfect physical beauty.
Well, I would be on that list.
And they said that she had an almost perfect nose, which I'm sure has been redone, and her eye position is exactly right. So I thought that was all very strange. And then it said that Kate came in second at 86.8% on this golden ratio thing.
No, but now her fingers are freaky, so she should go down a little bit.
Well, maybe that's why Kate's only 86.8%. But it's just interesting now that they're saying
freaky fingers.
That Meghan Markle is like the most attractive female member of the British royal family.
No.
So it's just very interesting that they're doing these things. And then, of course, this is always interesting to me because, we've seen the Planet of the Apes, right?
I live on it.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes. So is that a precursor to what they have planned for us, do you think? Because according to this article, apparently there's a psychologist called Gordon Gallup that claims that a human Z was born in an American lab nearly 100 years ago before being killed by a panicked doctor.
Oh, that stupid doctor.
And now there's a new book by Dr. David Barash from the University of Washington.
That's where you come from.
Who believes that we have the technology to create human Z's or chimp humans.
Listen, just go to any subway station or railroad station and you will see chimpanzees.
Anyway,
Humans.
he claims he thinks it's a good idea because then people will be more identifiable with animals and help stop the grotesque abuse of the planet's creatures.
So we have to mix the genetics so that we would like the apes.
I guess so.
I see.
And then he says it's unclear whether it will be a hybrid. Now you can read my notes because I never can remember how to say this word.
Oh, chimera.
Chimera. So will they be a hybrid or a chimera created in a laboratory?
Well, some people say chimera.
That's what I was thinking it was chimera, but I wasn't sure.
It's
Anyway,
a hybrid word.
yeah. So he says such an individual would not be an exact equal amount part of each combination. They wouldn't be human nor chimp, but somewhere in between.
They'd be humansies.
So to me, it reminded me of Planet of the Apes.
Do you think that a humansie would eat fricassee?
I don't know, maybe. Don't you think that doesn't that remind you of Planet of the Apes? Like you're talking about what they've already told you
It
about?
reminds me of the slave races that the Atlanteans created so that they would have, slaves that are intelligent.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of interesting things going on here. And then, remember what I told you about New World religion? We've talked about this a lot, that the women's, especially women, they're probably going to do it with men next, that women's bottoms now are like, you can do your huge things. Yeah, they're gigantic.
Why do people like that? I don't know.
The huge bottoms. But remember, astral attachments come in through the anus.
You said that bad word.
And so, first of all, they've had I can't remember what they call them, but the things that they supposedly put up their bottom, there's something called, can't think of what they're called, but everybody's supposed to have one, supposedly, now. And so now they're talking about men who
a plug?
Yes, that's what it's called.
Butt plug. Yeah.
Butt plug. Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to have that in your purse or your man bags at this point.
Don't you have that in your purse?
No, I do not. That's you. That's your purse.
I don't have a purse. I have a man bag.
No, it's in your man bag then.
Yeah, but I also have something a shoulder bag.
But you also... Anyway, so apparently now that there's 3 men, they're just telling about 3 of them, that are aroused with the flatulence of other people.
Really?
And there's a name. It's called eproctophilia.
Proctophilia?
Procto, like a proctologist.
I think that they need mental assistance.
Yeah, so some people, it says they like people to pass gas on them, and others want to have others pass gas on them.
Seriously?
That's what they're claiming. But remember what I told you about. They're all going to be talking about people's bottoms because this is the way that they hook in astral entities and other things. It's just
somebody been on Quaaludes.
And then this, of course, means that they could go ahead and introduce you to this word, coprophilia.
What's your language?
Which is being aroused by feces.
Well, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty disgusting.
Yeah, but it all has to do with lower level, basically crap.
You think?
And astral entities. And I also told you, I've got a story in between before I tell you this one. So I should have told you this one before, but I'll get back to this. This is the gender inappropriate words. Now, Qantas has banned its staff from saying...
Qantas. I like that airline.
They can no longer say mankind, guys, love, and darling.
They can't say love?
No. And you can't say husband and wife.
What?
Because that might offend gay passengers.
But how ridiculous. Could you say husband and husband?
And all of this was produced, this material was produced by the Diversity Council of Australia, whoever that is.
Upside down, remember that.
That's true. So instead of husband and wife, you have to say partner. And you can't say parent, you have to say parents instead of mom and dad.
But that would be your parents.
Yeah, you have to say parents. You cannot say mom and dad.
Because your parents might be, let's say, 2 giraffes who think that they're black, gender fluid lesbians or whatever.
And then it says that this information that came from the Diversity Council of Australia says that language...
This is Australia that put Aborigines in white homes, that created a diversity council. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Go ahead. So, language can make groups of people invisible. For example, the use of the term chairman can reinforce the idea that leaders are always men. And words like love, honey, or darling, which to me, I agree with this particular one. I don't think it should be just used for anybody. I think it should be a term of endearment.
I agree, darling.
Yes, well, hopefully...
Honey.
Yes, you can call me that. But like your average person out there...
I was talking to the chair, because I have a fetish with chairs.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And then this lady, who is apparently telling the Qantas people what to say, says, quote, she wants everyone to feel comfortable to bring their whole selves to work. Now, isn't that an odd statement? The whole cell's like, okay.
So instead of like leaving your arms and legs at home, you would come with all the parts.
I guess so. And then back to our New World religion programming stuff. And actually, these last two are kind of in honor of your new upcoming show.
Me?
Yeah, your live show that's going to be happening in Massachusetts. So
you said that so well.
If you are in that area and you want to attend the live show, take a look at our Facebook pages, and it should be posted shortly on our website because that's Sunday, March 18, 1 p.m. And what's the name of the town there?
Southbridge.
Okay, Massachusetts, at a facility or nightclub.
Starlight,
which that's very appropriate.
It's named after me.
Yeah, and the new show is called Hyper Truths. So it's very good.
First guest, Laura Eisenhower.
Yeah, and very fascinating show. So in honor of that, did you ever hear of the Psychic Twins? These are two sisters from California.
Aren't all twins psychic?
I don't know, but psychic twins. Because remember, the Illuminati and programming, it has to do with twinning. And so that's why, so twinning. And also possession, I told you was going to come up, and demonic.
Yes.
So these psychic twins claim to have been possessed by Princess Diana. And they also claim to have a special message for Harry's bride-to-be, Meghan Markle.
From mom-in-law.
They're claiming that Harry will cheat on her.
No!
Yeah. So that's their big prediction. But the issue is they want to get this idea of twinning out, which they're doing. And that's going to continue to grow, so watch for twinning. And then going on with our...
That was it? That's the message?
That's the message, isn't that? That's it.
Well, that wasn't very nice of Diana to do that.
No, it was a huge, long thing. But she's been warned, but like I said, they all do it, no big deal. So, then moving along, now this one was interesting, and I saved the best for last. This has to do with Dr. Phil. And now Dr. Phil,
really not a doctor,
who is claiming basically to be mainstream. Remember, Oprah introduced him to the world.
Right.
Our
So
dear
in other words,
friend
he's
Oprah.
paid to say what he says.
So, he had recently a woman on his show who claims to be possessed from demons.
Yeah,
So here we have possession and demon.
Most women are.
That's offensive to me. So what the
Okay,
woman,
honey, darling, dear.
the woman claims she was beaten, stabbed, punched, and raped daily by demons who possessed her for over a decade. And she said that now she went through 3 exorcisms. They got rid of them, but she still has the PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder, where she relives it. Now, what's interesting to me is, first of all, this is on mainstream. Then they show her having an episode on mainstream.
She had an episode?
She's on it. She's having an episode on an episode.
Ah.
And so this is, I will tell you again, this demonic stuff, this is programming. And so...
Oh, what did Dr. Phil say about it?
Dr. Phil was talking about, he used the word triggers and stressors, which I thought was very interesting. What triggers an episode, and what are the stressors that put you into it?
So he doesn't believe she was possessed. He thinks she's just freaking out because she has this post-traumatic stress.
Well, I didn't watch the whole episode because my interest wasn't that strong. My point is that they're putting this out there for mainstream people. Demons, possessions, triggers, stressors, programming. Okay? All of that's out there. So these are things I'm hoping that you're going to be addressing in your shows as you move along, because...
Well, I have all those.
Okay, so there you have it. So anyway, very fascinating news. And if you're interested in programming, deprogramming, remember, True Reality of Sexuality and 13 Cubes, these are your go-to books. If you want history, and remember, don't just start throwing mud. True Blood, Blue Blood, this tells a lot. The Illuminati agenda, who they are, what they're doing, how they make it happen, as well as some major alien races are described in here and their agenda. So this is a classic, one of our best sellers. Couple that with True World History, and you're going to have some good stuff. Health and healing. Okay, so you're going to deal with your minds. You control your own mind, and nobody controls your mind for you. Hyperspace Helper, Hyperspace Plus, Healing Archetypes and Symbols, okay? And for really great help, over 1,000 affirmations that you can do every day to help reprogram your own mind into something positive. Decoding Your Life, Universal Law. This is what my self-healing webinars are based on that we do every week. We have for the last 3 years. We're almost done with the book.
I like them a lot.
Yeah. So, but we only have one session left, I think, in April, and then we're done for the season. White Owl Legends. This is a great archetypal story of creation. And I'm just in the process of getting my previously only ebooks now into print. I've told you we have the Little Fluff's Aura book, and now we have the Chakra book. I was really happy
very nice.
with how this one turned out.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, really nice. And we've got 2 more in this series, which if all goes well, I'm hoping to have those by the time...
and my grandchildren like that one.
Yeah, this is the one you brought them. The next time we come, we'll bring them this one.
Okay.
So, anyway, when we have everything that you could possibly need, get a membership on our site. You can ask all the questions you want, as long as it's of interest to the general readership. Get the books, read and educate yourself, and then you can make choices for yourself of what you want and what you don't want. And I will tell you, if you don't like what we have to say, just go to another channel.
Yeah, go someplace else.
You don't have to make a big deal, because actually it's really unhealthy to be angry at people. It's always going to come back to you, and it's not going to hurt us.
And basically, what you say about others, you're saying about yourself.
That's correct. So if you think we're the most horrible people that ever lived, then you have really low self-worth and a low self-opinion. Well, that's one thing I want to mention. Because somebody wrote in there, for 2 enlightened people, you have a high opinion of yourself, like it's a bad thing.
No, that's a good thing.
But first of all, we never said we're enlightened. That was a New Age term we don't use. So we don't claim to be enlightened. We're 2 people just like you. That's the first thing.
Well,
and the second thing is,
than they are, but...
you're prettier than everybody. But the issue is you want somebody telling you what's going on who does have a high opinion of themselves. So, and if you don't have a high opinion of yourself, then you need to do your work, because everybody should have a high opinion of themselves.
You should not have low self-worth.
No, because that's when you're a victim, and that's what this world is about. And this is what the global handlers, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, they're betting on your low self-worth, and that you're going to be a person to throw and sling mud and divide. You want unity? Have unity within first, and then you're going to get some unity without.
Otherwise, you're going to be like Camilla.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No. So we talked about the webinars.
Yeah.
We talked about hyper truth. April, I maybe
Tentative plans to be in Buenos Aires.
Istanbul, we are definitely going in May. A live show. Jan and I both on live Turkish television. And then from there we go to Italy.
Yeah, we only have 1 space left.
Only one. And
One space.
And we need a good one to fill it.
Yeah, so 1 space. Everybody who's going is great. We have people from Russia. We have people from the UK. We have people from Germany, the US, and...
Well, a few other places. I don't remember.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a great trip.
Then our September class is coming up, believe it or not, even though it's March. Comes up pretty quick.
It does.
And I have a lot of stuff. Wow. Stuff I never spoke about. Yeah. We're talking about
mysticism,
the real angelic
Kabbalah,
hierarchy. I'm going to give you names of frequencies that you can use to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I will be revealing the true twin of Emmanuel/Jesus. Then I was invited just the other day to a conference in Albuquerque, or as I like to call it, Albuquerque, in New Mexico.
That is so funny.
I know, I can't help it. It just comes out. It just comes out.
Some people say, how can you just sit there and not laugh? Well, it's really tough.
Back to me.
Really tough.
And then it's by the Aquarian Radio, who's hosting it, and it's going to be about extraterrestrial, alien information, blah, blah, all of that.
And we also have a lot of interviews coming up. So always watch our event page and watch on the website.
And I was also asked to come to Cuba in October. So how we can do that at the same time?
I don't know.
That's going to be interesting.
You can buy locate. Okay?
Okay.
So anyway, we have always got lots of stuff. We have lots of information. If you want to know who we are, do your research, please, because it's out there.
And by the way, to Anna Chapman, who I've been on her show several times, and I just read what she said about what's going on in the UK, and I do agree with Anna. You can look that up yourself.
Bye.
Bye for now.